So, what's new in the garage of Luke? Over the last few years since I last uploaded to this channel, I've been privileged and honoured to work with some of the most famous faces in UK automotive YouTube and internationally. However, that got me thinking, I really enjoy making videos, so I wanted to try something for myself. So here I am with my £500 Ex-Police Range Rover. I'm going to take you through everything that's wrong with it. Welcome to Garage of Luke. So you're probably wondering just how much can be wrong with a £500 Range Rover. You've probably seen many L322 Range Rover related videos on YouTube, of which have become quite common recently. But this one is a little bit different. There are some reasons for that, and it was only £500. As you can see, on the outside, it's actually not terrible, really. My father machine polished it, which has done a great job of bringing out the paintwork, because it did look a bit like a white chalkboard when I first got it. If you left a fingerprint on it, it would just stay there and you couldn't rub it off. But in terms of the body, I mean, it's mint, really. As you come down here, there's no dents in the doors. I mean, there is some browning there, which probably not rust. The tyres, they could do with a bit of love. These are actually only temporary wheels, but we'll get onto that in another video. Round the back, there's a black strip on the tailgate, which is definitely not covering up the fact that the tailgate's rotten. And there is a small patch of filler and primer here, where the previous owner said a bit or two before fell off the back of a lorry and kind of just there. But he's done an all right job of vaguely making it match the tailgate, so that can simply be painted. Round this side, there's some more bubbles just there, which I'm sure will be fine, and that won't need any further attention. And it's pretty much the same story down this side. It's all much of a muchness, really. The paint's not too bad, which, when you consider this car's actually done 245,000 miles, is quite surprising. There is one large problem, however. Because I am, as you might have noticed, quite large, both that way and this way, I can see on the roof that the lacquer has mostly fallen off, which is weird because I don't think this colour should be lacquered. However, if I kind of go over to that bit, there is quite a large lump of filler that's trying to detach itself. But why would filler try and detach itself from the roof? Because that's where the police lights would have been bolted in, and they will be making a return. But again, this is all for future videos. At the front, it's fine. I mean, I put some lights in the grille because I'm a yob, and also it's an Ex-Police Range Rover, so I had to have blue lights. And the first time I brought it out to an event, this fell off, so that has been replaced. But aside from that, it's just had a polish, not done anything yet to the bodywork, and I'd say it's a pretty good base to start from, really. I reckon we should have a look inside, because things do get a bit more interesting in there. So you're probably wondering what makes an Ex-Police Range Rover so different to a normal Range Rover. Obviously it's white, which you wouldn't see on a pre-facelift L322, but inside is where things do get quite interesting, because in here, the seats are not made of leather. They are in fact made of quite hard-wearing cloth, because, especially in the back, you wouldn't want the crims and their bladed articles to go tearing up your nice leather. No, you want cheap, dependable cloth, and despite the fact it's done 245,000 miles, there's no rips, there's no tears, it's clearly very hard wearing, and in addition to that, it's also incredibly low spec. There's no heated steering wheel, no rain adjusting wipers. You do still get air suspension, which doesn't work. Another one to pop on the list of things that are wrong with my £500 Range Rover. And on the Speedo, you cannot be mistaken for missing that this was once a police car, because there's even a little calibration sticker, which is the coolest thing in the world. That's pretty much everything there is in the front. There's not much to talk about because there's not much in it. In the back, I shall demonstrate the cloth chairs, and yes. So if we just pop that there. As you can see, it's in lovely condition and there's nothing wrong at all, and it definitely doesn't have a gaping hole that I'm hiding with a microfiber cloth. It's obviously the reason the microfiber cloth is in there, but not really much going on, not really any spec. We'll pop into the boot. Now, I thought in my mind it should have a boot befitting an ex-police car, so I've installed things. A lot of equipment for doing policey things. I'm sure the police, for instance, would use an axe on a shovel, a braking and entering bar, a tow rope, and a big hammer. But there is a fire extinguisher, so safety first, kids. Moving around this side, I'm not going to try and hide it this time, because obviously you'll have seen through my cunning act with the microfiber, that's also gone. You'll actually see in a video on another channel that will be coming out after this one why that happened. I believe my words were, I wonder what happens if I kick it. Aside from the rust, which is catastrophic, the headlining is a bit saggy, but genuinely apart from that, everything that is on it, apart from the climate control and the air suspension, and there's an engine light, and there's a traction control light, and the ABS lights sometimes come on, and the brake light switch is broken. But apart from all those things, it's fine. It's a good car. In the front, more of nothing. But I do have a book that says Police Range Rovers, and if I flick through to a lovely section that says, in July 2003, Cheshire became the third force to buy the L322 Range Rover when DA03MZW, DA03MZX, and DK03KPA entered service. This is DK03KPA. That's cool. But there's something else. I have this box, and on this box, if I press this button and then that button, obviously there's a fuse in there which I have to remove when I'm driving it on the road. Yeah, that is nice. Right, let's have a look under the bonnet, and then I think it's time to go for a drive. There is one other small problem before we go under the bonnet for a little look. The video is everything wrong with my £500 Ex-Police Range Rover, so I feel like I should be honest and say the bonnet doesn't open. But I've owned many BMW X5, so this is an issue I've come across many times before. And getting into it is so easy, because all I've got to do is just pull that out and pull that out, then take mole grips, and if I just pop myself down here, in here there's a little cable. I simply grab the metal ends of that and pull, and in theory, if I've done that right, the bonnet should simply open like so. And there lies the beating heart of the whole operation. 8 cylinders of BMW magic, the M62 V8. Same engine you'll find in an X5 4.4 V8, E53, an E39, 540i, but it does have some BMW related faults, namely the rocker cover gaskets are not just leaking, but gushing oil out at an alarming rate, to the point at which I do really need to get them done at some point. But yeah, apart from the oil leak issue, it runs well. It's good. It's given me no issues whatsoever, except for the fact I did have to replace all 8 spark plugs, because when I bought it, they weren't working properly. It did blow a coolant line at the back of the engine actually as well. Yeah, it did do that. And the O2 sensor, it's not great. Look, at the end of the day, it was £500. It runs, it drives, I'm happy. So, I think it's time we go for a little spin. So now we're out in it, what does a £500 Range Rover actually drive like? Well, genuinely, it's not too bad. I mean, it's done 245,000 miles, so there are going to be some misgivings that you have to forgive it for, but genuinely, the gearbox changes smoothly, it tracks straight and true. The V8 engine on these is fantastic as well. I loved my TD-V8 Range Rover, it was fantastic. 30 odd to the gallon, loads of torque, perfect for towing. But I was told by someone a while ago that these always drive better with a petrol V8. In fact, I think it was my grandfather who said he swore by having L322s with a V8 petrol, and I can see why. There's something about the smoothness, the power delivery, the way that they drive. They're lighter over the front end, they feel, as well. So while it's not a handling car by any means, it does drive really well for a Range Rover. Yes, this is an incredibly low spec example. It's got cloth seats and no heated steering wheel and various bits that you just wouldn't expect, and various bits missing that you would expect. It's still unbelievably comfortable and unbelievably quiet as well. That's the key thing, even without double glazing windows and such. It's a really lovely place to be. I've already waxed lyrical on about how good this car is to drive despite its age, with various ramblings about lack of knocks and engine performance. But I think actually the thing that makes it feel quite special is knowing the story of this car, knowing that for a long time this was just going up and down the M6 in Cheshire, pulling people over effectively as a highway patrol car, knowing that this at some point had criminals probably in the back of it, and these seats well worn in from the bottoms of police officers sitting for ages in it as they cover mad mileage. I mean, this had done 190,000 by the time it left the police force at the end of 2007. That's nearly 50,000 miles a year, an insane amount of mileage, and one that you really wouldn't expect a Range Rover to be able to do. And yet here it is. It's a bit triggers brum, various bits have been replaced, but it's still going, and with a little bit of love, I reckon it'll keep going for a fair while longer. I love this car. Puts a smile on my face driving it. There's just something about it, and I think it deserves a bit of fixing. So there you have it. Everything wrong with my £500 Ex-Police Range Rover, except for the remote central locking. That works, which is rare. This car has had quite a past. It did 190,000 miles in its first 4 years as part of Cheshire Police, and they have looked after it impeccably. But it does show that, aside from the structural misgivings, let's say, mechanically, if you look after a car, it will keep going. And this car makes me happy, so I want to keep it going. And therefore I plan on giving it a lot of well-earned love. If you'd like to see that, hit the subscribe button, because that will be coming up soon, as well as, hopefully, returning this back to its original police livery. Let me know what you thought in the comments of this video as well, because this is all new to me. I've not done solo camera work really, so it's a learning process, and I want to create content that you guys enjoy watching and that I enjoy making. Hit like as well if you think the video is worth it, and I will see you next time. You've been watching Garage of Luke. I've been Luke. Thank you very much. Right, the pub.